Trevor's trial run. It was the day of the fire station fun run, and Trevor Evans was on his way to Pontypandy, dressed in his tracksuit and trainers, ready to join in. I wish I was fitter, he thought, rubbing his stomach. It's all the lovely lasagna Bella cooks that's done it. Never mind, 2 miles isn't very far. I should just manage it. Trevor was so busy thinking about the run that he didn't notice the oil warning light flashing in front of him. Something was seriously wrong with his bus. As Trevor turned the corner into Pandy Lane, the bus started hiccuping and making a terrible noise, and very soon it stopped altogether. "Oh, bother," sighed Trevor, suddenly noticing the red light. "It looks as if we're out of oil." And he got out to have a look. "Help!" he cried, grabbing hold of the door to save himself. "The road's all slippery, and there's been no rain. It must be oil." Just as he was wondering what to do next, Trevor heard the sound of an engine. "That's a bit of luck," he thought. If I can get a lift into Pontypandy, I'll still be in time for the run." Trevor was standing at the side of the road waving his handkerchief when Fireman Sam and firefighter Elvis Cridlington came round the corner in Jupiter on the way back to the fire station after a call. "There's someone waving," said Fireman Sam, slowing down. "Looks like Trevor. We'd better stop and help." But as he braked, Jupiter's tyres slid on the oily road and they started to skid. "Watch out, Trevor," cried Elvis, closing his eyes as they skidded across the road, narrowly missing the bus. There was a thud and Jupiter came to a halt. "You can open your eyes now, Elvis," said Fireman Sam. "There's no harm done, but I think we're stuck in the ditch. I didn't know the lane was so slippery. Come on, let's get out." Pale and shaken, Elvis and Fireman Sam climbed out of Jupiter and had a look around. "Phew, that was a near miss," said Trevor, mopping his brow with his handkerchief. "For a moment, I thought you were going to crash into my bus, and me for that matter. You wouldn't think oil could cause a skid like that, would you?" "What's going on here, Trevor?" said Fireman Sam. "Why is there oil all over the road? It's very dangerous, you know. Now we'll have to pull Jupiter out of the ditch." Trevor explained what had happened. "A right pair of engines we've got," grumbled Elvis. "One in the ditch and the other broken down. We need help, but hardly anyone comes down this little lane. I'm afraid 3 firemen are going to miss the fire station fun run then," added Fireman Sam, looking at the ground gloomily. But then he noticed Trevor's trainers. Unless, he thought. "Why didn't we think of it before?" said Fireman Sam, looking up. "Trevor, you're dressed for running. If you run back up the lane to the call box and ring the fire station, we'll be out of here in no time." "I suppose I could," mumbled Trevor, not looking very happy about the idea. "You'll have to," said Elvis. "After all, if it wasn't for you, Jupiter wouldn't be stuck in the ditch. Well, I don't know about that, said Trevor indignantly. Off you go, Trevor, at once, repeated Fireman Sam firmly. Maybe I'm fitter than I thought, said Trevor to himself as he jogged slowly up the road to the coal box, breathing deeply. I must have run at least a mile by now, and I'm barely out of breath. Feeling more confident, he ran on a bit faster, counting to himself. 1, 2, 1, 2. Come on now, Trevor. This is easy. A few minutes later, he arrived at the phone box and went inside. He lifted the receiver, but there was no sound. The line was dead. Oh no, the phone's out of order. Now what am I going to do? He wailed. There's no point in going back. I'll have to run on all the way to Pontypandy. And if I'm not quick, the run will start without us. He set off again, going as fast as he could, but getting slower and slower the further he went. Can't be much further, surely, he gasped, beginning to get a stitch. Must be round the next corner, he hoped, but there were quite a few more corners before he finally saw the Pontypandy church spire. When Trevor finally arrived in Pontypandy, Sarah, James, Norman Price, and Station Officer Steele were in the park, waiting to start the run. Dilys and Bella were watching proudly. Where have you been, Trevor? And what's happened to your bus? And Fireman Sam and Elvis, for that matter, said Station Officer Steele, looking around. Trying to get out of the run, are they? Breathlessly, Trevor explained what had happened. Never mind, said Station Officer Steele. Our route takes us up Pandy Lane anyway. There are enough of us here to pull Jupiter out of the ditch. Grab a rope, Trevor. We're waiting to start. They all lined up. Uno, dos, tres, away you go, cried Bella. And the fun run started. Following Station Officer Steele, Sarah, James and Norman raced off towards Pandy Lane, with Trevor puffing along behind, carrying the heavy rope. Come on, Trevor, Dilys laughed. You've been eating too much lasagna. Thanks very much, Trevor, grinned Fireman Sam when the group reached him. They attached a rope, and with everyone pulling together, Jupiter came out of the ditch easily. We'd better get the road cleaned up, said Fireman Sam. We don't want any more accidents. Wait, Trevor, said Station Officer Steele, as Trevor climbed into his bus. Collect the bus later. You mustn't miss the fun run. I think I've done enough running for one day, sir, sighed Trevor. Nonsense. That was just a trial run. And besides, you could do with the practice. Come along now. 1, 2, 1, 2.